and FedEx Ground are merging. 4 local sites are shutting down as
I busted my and I was just laid off. These companies do not care about us.
FedEx loses that business, and now they don't need as many workers.
On Tuesday, over 200 FedEx employees had the rug pulled from underneath.
Imagine walking into work one morning to find your badge deactivated. No warning, no goodbye. That's the reality thousands of FedEx employees have faced over the last 2 years as the logistics giant embarks on what critics call a bloodbath of layoffs and facility closures. Stick around, because the ripple effects from these cuts aren't just felt by former couriers. They're upending entire communities and threatening your next package delivery. In this video, you'll discover how FedEx's headcount plunged by 42,000 between 2022 and 2024, wiping out jobs from Tennessee to North Carolina. Why Network 2.0 consolidation led to shuttered ship centers in 5 states and a 326-person closure in Union City, Georgia. How automation, like Memphis's mammoth sorting hub, capable of 56,000 packages per hour, is replacing people faster than anyone realized. By the end, you'll understand why this isn't just a corporate cost-cutting exercise. It's a massive realignment, shaking the backbone of American logistics. Over the past 2 years, FedEx's U.S. workforce shrank from roughly 547,000 employees in mid-2022 to about 505,000 by May 2024, a staggering 42,000 job reduction. In May 2025 alone, a WARN notice in Lebanon, Tennessee, announced 217 layoffs. June brought another 341 cuts in North Carolina. And back in August 2023, 843 positions vanished across facilities in Colorado, Ohio, Texas, Georgia, and Mississippi. Even Europe felt the squeeze, with up to 2,000 roles eliminated in 2024 to 2025. In towns built around FedEx centers, grocery stores reported 20 to 30% sales drops, and daycares lost entire group enrollments within weeks of closures. These cuts stem from Network 2.0, FedEx's multi-billion-dollar consolidation plan aimed at saving $6 billion by 2027. Ship centers in Arkansas, Mississippi, and North Carolina were quietly closed or staff reduced, while a high-profile logistics hub in Union City, Georgia, laid off 326 workers after losing a major client. Local leaders warn that these closures don't just idle package sorters. They throttle small business deliveries, stunt regional growth, and leave hundreds scrambling for new employment in areas with few alternatives. At the heart of this purge is automation. In October 2024, FedEx unveiled an automated sorting plant in Memphis capable of processing 56,000 packages per hour, enough to replace hundreds of human sorters per shift. Meanwhile, partnerships with robotics firms promise driverless delivery by 2028 in states from Texas to Pennsylvania. Although FedEx claims these investments enhance speed and reliability, frontline workers see it as a harbinger of even deeper cuts. Industry analysts predict that by 2027, human involvement in FedEx's network could drop by as much as 40%, further widening the gap between corporate profits and community livelihoods. So far, we've traced how thousands lost their jobs and how automation swallowed entire roles. But what's driving FedEx to prioritize cost savings over people? Next, we'll dig into the pressure from Amazon's logistics push, the controversial $5 billion stock buyback that sparked outrage, and the real financial targets behind this seismic shakeup. Before we dive back in, please hit the like button. Your support fuels every story we share. We're aiming for 5,000 subscribers on Global Insight, and your subscription would mean the world to us. Thank you for helping us grow. Now let's continue. FedEx isn't just trimming fat. It's racing into a future that sidelines its own people. Why? Because rivals and Wall Street demanded it. When FedEx announced the end of its Amazon contract in 2019, it didn't expect Amazon to return the favor by building a same-day delivery hub just a few miles from its Fort Worth facility, hiring 2,000 workers, while FedEx slashed 305 jobs there in early 2025. That wasn't an isolated clash. It was a message. Amazon wants your parcels, and it'll pay workers more to get them. Overnight, FedEx's domestic shipping revenues cratered. Q1 2025 saw the worst quarterly haul in over a decade. As managers scrambled to plug the gap, employees found themselves collateral damage in an e-commerce arms race. Behind the scenes, FedEx's board greenlit a $5 billion stock buyback in 2024, and then added another $3.1 billion in June 2025. On earnings calls, executives praised the boost to share prices, while workers were handed 2 weeks severance after a decade on the job. At a recent shareholders meeting, one laid-off driver, Miguel Alvarez, 12 years at FedEx, a cancer survivor, father of 4, stood up and asked, "Where's the loyalty to us?" His badge had already been deactivated by email. He never saw his severance in person. That disconnect between boardroom decisions and breakroom lives sparked outrage across FedEx's ranks. Meanwhile, cost-cutting isn't limited to people. Entire sorting centers are being mothballed under the so-called Operation Reinvention. A facility in Chicago closed last November after losing a single tech giant customer. In New Jersey and Southern California, FedEx is reducing shifts so drastically that some drivers now cover twice the territory. Local union reps report mechanics forced to work 12-hour overtime just to keep aging trucks rolling. Yet the company's press releases trumpet improved network efficiency, as if empty facilities and exhausted staff were metrics to celebrate. All of this sits on the top of a broader automation push. FedEx's Memphis megahub isn't an experiment anymore. It's the future blueprint. Robots carry, scan, and sort packages in exact patterns, never calling in sick or demanding overtime pay. A pilot with Aurora Innovation promises autonomous delivery vans on Texas roads by year's end. Combine that with AI-driven route optimization, and you've got a logistics machine designed to trim the human out of humanitarian shipping. By 2028, FedEx aims to slash headcount by another 20% simply through technology. While workers vanish, FedEx's PAC poured $2.3 million into lobbying from 2023 to 2025, quietly influencing regulators as WARN notices trickled in. Local mayors, dependent on FedEx jobs, find themselves between praising innovation and pleading for federal relief for displaced workers. In Kentucky's rural Harlan County, the last drop-off center closed without warning in May, leaving farmers scrambling for alternatives or watching produce rot on docks. They say there's no such thing as a free lunch, but when it comes to FedEx's executive suite, free might as well be their middle name. Even as thousands of frontline workers saw their badges deactivated, insiders quietly raked in huge payouts. Between 2021 and 2024, FedEx doled out $1.5 billion in executive bonuses, on the same tracks that cost Miguel Alvarez his job. In the quarter, the layoffs began. $41 million more performance bonuses landed in C-suite pockets. Meanwhile, rank-and-file employees were offered 2 weeks severance for a decade of service. And in some cases, healthcare premiums spiked just days before pink slips arrived. Worse, FedEx exploited a loophole in the WARN Act, a regulation meant to protect workers by requiring 60-day notice before mass layoffs. By staggering cuts across different facilities and dates, FedEx technically stayed under the mass layoff threshold in most communities. Only Lebanon, Tennessee officially filed. Other towns were left in the dark until the lights went off. When asked, local mayors shrugged, torn between touting the company's commitment to innovation and begging for unemployment assistance for dozens of displaced families. What does this mean for you, the everyday customer? First, expect growing inconsistencies in your delivery experience. Reports are already coming in of longer transit times, missed pickups, and a sudden spike in lost packages, especially in rural areas where driver cuts were deepest. One Idaho farmer complained his fruit crate sat in a FedEx truck for 3 days after the local drop-off center shut down. By freeing up capital for automation, FedEx may boost profits, but you'll pay the price through delays, surcharges, and dwindling customer service. Second, this shakeup is reshaping the last-mile ecosystem. Independent contractors, once supplementing FedEx's workforce, are now bombarded with demands to cover expanded routes without extra pay. That strain risks turning our neighborhoods into delivery deserts, where same-day shipping becomes a lofty promise rather than a guarantee. Finally, the broader lesson is clear. When a logistics giant prioritizes shareholder returns over people, the entire supply chain frays. Small businesses that depend on reliable shipping may face canceled service agreements. E-commerce sellers, already squeezed by platform fees, could see their margins evaporate under higher rates and slower delivery windows. In short, FedEx's headcount realignment isn't an isolated corporate strategy. It's a warning shot across the bow of every business and consumer who relies on timely, dependable shipping. FedEx may be slashing jobs and reshaping its operations, but that's just the opening act. What happens when the world's biggest online retailer, Amazon, faces the same economic squeeze? Stay with me, because you're about to see how Amazon's bold workforce shakeup could rewrite the rules for everyone.
Badges, they taking our vets and making us hand over our vets, bro. I ain't gonna lie, this shit is crazy, man. This shit is crazy, man. Like, we ready to get walked out right now, bro. Like, I didn't think that the 10,000...
It could soon have more robots than humans working in its warehouses. The Wall Street Journal reports Amazon nears the milestone after years spent working to automate tasks previously done by humans.
Really given my whole energy and life over the last 4 months to this job, and to be let go for no reason is like a huge slap in the face.
So the CEO of Amazon telling the company's employees that some of their jobs will be replaced by AI.
Are you an Amazon employee waking up to a blank email from HR? Have you seen headlines warning that AI will replace your role? And did you know nearly 100,000 tech workers have lost jobs just in the first half of 2025? Welcome to the new reality at Amazon, where automation and layoffs collide in the largest job market shakeup in decades. Amazon's workforce peaked at 1.6 million in 2021. Today, it stands at 1.56 million, down 48,000 jobs. Yet recent growth added 31,000 employees in 2024, masking deeper cuts in high-tech divisions. In 2025 alone, around 100 roles vanished from devices and services, dozens more from communications and sustainability, and whispers of managerial reduction swirl, even as Amazon clarifies no wholesale culls. Meanwhile, CEO Andy Jassy's candid memo: as we roll out more generative AI and agents, we will need fewer people doing some of the jobs done today, sent chills through internal Slack channels. Amazon workforce evolution versus global AI job displacement. That graph tells a stark story. While Amazon's headcount dips slightly, global AI displacements surged. 85 million jobs lost by end 2025. Even as 97 million new roles emerge, leaving a net gain of 12 million, but skewed toward highly skilled positions. For Amazon's 1.1 million US-based employees, this means 200,000 jobs at risk of automation. Robots in warehouses and AI in call centers replacing human labor at a breakneck pace. Workers' voices amplify the anxiety.
18,000 people got laid off from Amazon today. I definitely get what you're feeling right now.
It drives me nuts. Why does it take 10 years to apply to one singular job?
What is the absolute lowest dollar amount I would value myself, my time, my skills, my worth?
These aren't isolated tweets. They reflect a cultural fear as Amazon pours hundreds of millions into digit robots to replace you. Office vacancy is another signal of the storm. Amazon plans to save $1.3 billion by cutting leases short, shrinking its office footprint to absorb a 34% vacancy rate. Meanwhile, U.S. office vacancies hit 20.4% nationally, 28.4% in San Francisco, underscoring a weaker demand for traditional roles and spaces. Employees forced back to hubs, some relocated across states, face the harsh ultimatum: get the most done with the least amount of resources required to do the job, Jassy declared. Echoing the New York Times, Amazon gives employees a harsh ultimatum amid layoff fears. Within fulfillment centers, robots now handle millions of packages. Amazon's automation spend targets $10 billion in annual savings, deploying over 4.28 million warehouse robots globally by 2025, with 25% of warehouses already automated, up from 5% in 2015. Workers see colleagues replaced by machines that never tire, never call in sick, and never demand a raise. Yet amidst this upheaval, entry-level and mid-career employees bear the brunt. Office vacancy and return to office mandates collide with layoff fears, forcing many to contemplate freelance work or reskilling in AI. Next, we'll dive into the emotional toll, personal stories of shock and uncertainty, and reveal how Amazon's internal policies amplify anxiety. We'll also compare Amazon's automation to broader industry layoffs, Microsoft's 15,000 cuts, Intel's 20% workforce reduction, and Google's 10,000-plus roles eliminated, all part of a tech sector bloodbath. Stay tuned. This story is far from over. As the hum of warehouse robots grows louder, the human cost becomes painfully clear. In January 2025, dozens of employees in communications and sustainability were escorted from Seattle's headquarters with scant notice. One veteran sustainability analyst recounted logging in one morning to find her badge deactivated. No severance meeting, just an automated email. She texted colleagues,
What is the absolute lowest dollar amount I would value myself, my time, my skills, my worth?
That question now echoes through countless Slack channels, where employees trade rumors of impending cuts. Amazon isn't alone in riding the layoff wave. Microsoft shed 15,000 jobs in early 2025, its second major round after 6,000 cuts in May. Intel announced up to 20,000 roles vanished under a 20% workforce reduction plan. IBM, Google, and Meta each cut 8,000, 10,000, and 5% of staff respectively, largely in roles now deemed automatable. TechCrunch reported that in April alone, 24,500 plus employees lost jobs across the sector. April marked the peak with 16,234 cuts in February and 10,397 in May. Internal surveys reveal the emotional weight.
It drives me nuts. Why does it take 10 years to apply to one singular job?
Lamented a laid-off Alexa developer. A fellow program manager confided,
We have had 11 people turn us down. They have offered people with college degrees $9 an hour. No health care, no benefits, no nothing.
Anxiety isn't limited to those whose roles vanish. Survivors face a layoff guilt pervading team morale. In one all-hands meeting, managers were told to keep hiring freezes in mind, even as Amazon added 31,000 new roles in 2024. A paradox that leaves employees questioning who will be deemed expendable next. AI's relentless march adds another layer of dread. In June 2025, an internal memo announced plans to integrate AI agents across customer service, tasks that once required an army of representatives. CNBC summarized CEO Jassie's message, "Get ready to be replaced." That phrase, lifted almost verbatim into headlines. Amazon preps employees for layoffs by talking up the power of AI agents, crystallizes the corporate calculus, efficiency gains at any cost. Yet the automation story isn't confined to Amazon's walls. Warehouses worldwide added 4.28 million robots in 2025, driving a 77% productivity boost and slashing operational costs by half. At that pace, analysts predict 92 million jobs at risk by 2030, with retail cashiers and data entry clerks leading the casualties. For Amazon employees, every new robot deployment heralds another team member out of work, even as the company touts its commitment to customer satisfaction. The financial calculus deepens the sting. Amazon's $1.3 billion in office lease savings announced mid-year contrasts sharply with the 27,000 jobs eliminated since 2022. Business Insider captured the tension. We will need fewer people doing some of the jobs that are being done today, Jassy warned, even as Amazon lauds a 2.03% workforce increase in 2024. Employees joke that the only constant at Amazon is change, the kind that costs them their livelihoods. And then there's the futures paradox. Automation creates new roles. 97 million globally by 2025 in AI engineering, human-AI collaboration, and ethics oversight, yet 85 million are displaced. Entry-level workers suffer the most. Unemployment among new college grads has climbed to 5.8%, and job openings outpace unemployed candidates by fewer than 500,000. Employers now favor advanced degrees for AI-adjacent roles, leaving many mid-career professionals scrambling for certifications they never envisioned needing. The fallout from Amazon's automation surge and targeted layoffs has sparked a quiet revolt among its workforce. Employees are banding together to demand a seat at the table in this transformation. In July 2025, Amazon workers in New York's JFK 8 facility filed for the first-ever warehouse union local. They cited automation-driven job cuts and unpredictable scheduling as core grievances. Across the tech divisions, petitions have circulated calling for enforcement of the WARN Act, which mandates 60 days' notice for mass layoffs. Yet many cuts were staggered to fly under that threshold. Some affected employees have engaged labor lawyers, arguing that consecutive small-scale layoffs constitute a single mass layoff. If successful, Amazon could be forced to retroactively compensate thousands for unpaid severance and notice. Confronted with job displacement, Amazon launched Freedom Programs, online courses in AI, cloud computing, and robotics maintenance. Enrollment jumped 200% in Q2 2025, but completion rates lag at 35%, as many workers juggle demanding shifts. Meanwhile, third-party platforms report a 50% surge in Amazon employees seeking coding boot camps and data science certificates, hoping to transition into emerging AI roles. Yet with 77% of new AI positions requiring advanced degrees, the skills gap remains formidable. For those unable or unwilling to climb the certification ladder, the gig economy offers an escape hatch. Ride-hailing services and food delivery apps have seen a 30% uptick in signups from former Amazon associates since January 2025. Freelance marketplaces, Upwork, Fiverr, report a 25% increase in project bids from laid-off tech workers advertising web development, UX design, and AI prompt engineering services. These stopgap incomes, however, come without benefits or job security, prompting many to question the true cost of freedom. Consider Maria, a former Alexa UX researcher who lost her role in May 2025. She now tutors high schoolers in Python online, earning $40 per hour, but struggles without healthcare coverage. Or Luis, a warehouse packer whose digit robot position replaced him. He's retraining at a local community college for mechatronics, encouraged by a $2,000 state grant, but facing a 6-month commute. Their stories underscore a larger reality. Resilience demands resources, and many are running on empty. Amid backlash, Amazon doubled down on its people plus machine vision, pairing human creativity with AI's scale. The company announced a pilot collaboration lab at its Seattle HQ, testing mixed teams of employees and AI agents on customer support tasks. Early metrics show 15% faster resolution times, but human staff report algorithmic anxiety, uncertain whether they're measured against other employees or against the AI itself. Amazon's saga mirrors global trends. As 4.28 million warehouse robots automate logistics, 200,000 Amazon jobs face the chopping block, and 85 million roles worldwide vanish to AI, entire industries are in flux. The paradox is stark. 97 million new jobs emerge, yet only fractionally accessible to those displaced. Economists warn of a talent treadmill, where workers must constantly upskill or risk obsolescence. You've just seen Amazon and FedEx slash thousands of jobs and rattle the labor market. But that was only round one. What happens when America's top grocery giant fights back against presidential tariffs by packing up and heading overseas? Click the video on your screen now. No more food. Trump goes nuts as Walmart replied to Trump's tariffs by leaving America. To see how this move could leave your supermarket shelves empty. I'll see you there.